What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. And with this video, we are jumping into Task Force Z. This will be issue number 4, and if you have not been keeping up with this line, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you caught up on everything that has been going on with this series. Now, what we have seen so far from this story is an individual by the name as Crispin. He started an organization of Suicide Squad more or less members, taking them and bringing them back to life with Lazarus resin, giving them temporary life so they can go out here and do these missions. And if they do enough missions, they can have their freedom. They can come back to the land of the living. And we have the one and only Red Hood, who has been leading this entire expedition. But now Red Hood, he goes looking for some answers. And the individual named Crispin, the person that has been hiding in the shadows this entire time, has been none other than Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. Now, be sure to buy the comics, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 4, we are picking up with Two-Face and Red Hood having their confrontation, with Two-Face letting Red Hood know that he has been waiting some time for them to sit down and have this discussion. Now Red Hood, he is immediately defensive, believing that he has been hiding out here under the codename of Crispin. But the truth of the matter is Two-Face isn't hiding out. This is his home. And he also lets Red Hood know that you didn't escape because you're not a prisoner. What you are is a wanted criminal, and we have secured you on a limited amount of leeway. And what they want him to do is stay out of the public view. This will help both them and him. And with Harvey Dent reaching over to grab something from his drawer, this is where we see Red Hood electrocute him, with Two-Face calling him crazy, saying that he was simply going to the drawers to get them some liquor so they can literally sit down and have a discussion about what is going on here. Of course, Red Hood is extremely skeptical, but Two-Face is letting him know that they work together, that Red Hood is unhappy and he wants to find out why. Now, meanwhile, at the Chop Shop, aka Task Force Z headquarters, we are picking up with Bloom and Man-Bat. And we see Bloom, he appears to take some of the Lazarus resin. He puts it on Man-Bat and we see him transform into his human form, with Bloom quickly letting him know everything that is going on, saying that he will eventually turn him back into his human form permanently. When the time comes, he is going to need his help. But we see him somehow turn him back into the Bat. And in doing this, we see that Bloom, he has some ulterior motives here. Not really sure what he's up to. He is working in the background, and he is doing everything he can to escape this place. But picking us back up with Red Hood and Two-Face. Red Hood wants to understand what is really going on here, believing so far that they are working for some mysterious government outfit on a top secret mission. And Two-Face lets him know that that is in fact true, and that he can prove it, bringing out a letter, showing it to him. Red Hood believes that maybe this could be faked. And while Two-Face, he could fake it, why would he go through all of the effort of doing that? The truth of the matter is there is no master plan here. He is not trying to trick all of these dangerous criminals into getting chemical weapons off the street. Because Two-Face, he truly does believe that they are doing some good work here. And while some of their means may be very questionable, sometimes you have to operate in questionable space to get things done. Not only that, this is a path back to the world for him and all of his teammates. And it's a better alternative than Arkham, than Blackgate, than Belle Reve. And they can debate the morality of all of this all day long. But the truth of the matter is that they're not that far apart. At the end of the day, they both want to get things done. They want to get these chemicals off the streets. But more than anything, this is a legitimate government agency, more or less. The less is that all of this is provisional. They are working towards a contract, operating under a temporary authorization under the Federal Task Force Act, meaning this is all an audition. And though they have performed well so far, they haven't been offered the part just yet. Now Red Hood, he's really just not believing him, believing that there has to be some kind of deeper play here. The truth of the matter is Harvey Dent, at one point in time, he was a district attorney. He was a district attorney when Red Hood was out there stealing hubcaps. And that, yes, once upon a time, he was unwell. Once upon a time, he was the worst version of himself. But he truly wants to get back to civil duty. He really wants to help people again. But if compassion is not believable, then putting all of the cards on the table, if you just look at Two-Face, who is going to give him a second chance? Who is ever going to hire him for anything legitimate? Because the truth is, he is more tainted than anybody else on this team. But this is his chance to get back to being a decent human being. And he is going to do everything he can to try to grasp at that goal. And so Red Hood has to ask the question, why did you pick me? Because he could have his pick of anybody out there to lead this team, and he chose Red Hood. And Two-Face, he did this because he believes that Red Hood needs this as much as he does, even if he doesn't know it. And so Two-Face, he asked them the question, what is it going to be? Are you going to help me make the world a better place? With Red Hood really undecisive at this point, he walks out of the room only to have guns pointed directly in his face. Because when Two-Face opened up that drawer to get the liquor, it activated a silent alarm. A just-in-case scenario in case Red Hood did actually kill Two-Face right here on the spot. But with Red Hood pushing them out of the way, we see him go out into the world, and this is where he is greeted by Batman. Because the truth is, Batman is the one that sent him in to this Task Force Z. He sent him in to find out exactly what is going on. That is why he had left Red Hood behind. This entire plan had been orchestrated so Red Hood could infiltrate this organization for Batman. Now, this is taking place before issue 118 of Batman. This is before he heads off to China to deal with Batman Incorporated. But Batman wants to know if he was correct. And while there's a yes and no to that question, that it is Harvey Dent, but it's more complicated than he's just a bad guy doing bad things. Showing him the paper with the authentic signature, saying that this operation is governed by the United States. But Batman believes that this has to be some kind of play. Red Hood, after having his discussion, he doesn't believe that this is a play. With Batman wanting to pull him out, Red Hood wants to see this operation through. And while Batman tries to tell him that he doesn't have a choice, Red Hood lets him know that I don't work for you. And while he doesn't necessarily trust or believe Harvey Dent, he wants to see where this operation is going to go. He wants to see in what direction this is all headed. Now, as these two sit in the alleyway having this argument, this is where a lady is getting mugged. The two of them, they hear the screams, and they jump in, they go in to take these guys down. And while they are fighting these guys, Red Hood is letting him know that he wants something more than just fighting punk purse snatchers in alleyways. That has become so repetitive, and they are never actually getting to the source of the problem. Because the reality is, we are beating up drug addicts. We are beating up mentally ill patients. And while yes, we are helping the woman who was assaulted, the truth of the matter is we are not solving the underlying issues that this city has. Red Hood truly does believe that they can help the world and extend beyond Gotham's alleys after dark. Not that he believes Task Force Z is necessarily the answer. He lets him know, he lets Batman know that the only thing he ever taught him is that he doesn't have a choice in anything. And it seems to bother Batman that Red Hood found out that was not true. And Batman tells him, I'm sorry that you see it that way. Red Hood saying, I'm sorry that you don't. Red Hood, he's still going through his growing pains. He's still trying to figure out who he is as a hero, as an anti-hero, as a vigilante. And so more than anything, he just wants to be more than Gotham City. He wants to help the world outside of alleyways and petty criminals. Now, taking us back to the chop shop, we have Amanda Waller meeting up with Two-Face. With Harvey Dent not answering the phone calls to Amanda Waller, she has come to meet him in person so he can't ignore her. And she has come to let him know that this operation is over with. And though he was told he had till the end of the week, Amanda Waller is telling him that they are going with another team. And while this science experiment had been relatively interesting, it was really a ripoff of Task Force X. You took Task Force X and you made some twist to it. You made a few changes to it. And even Amanda Waller says that it is morally reprehensible. And that's a lot coming from Amanda Waller. Of course, Two-Face, he believed that to be an absolute joke, considering everything Amanda Waller has ever done. But Amanda Waller lets him know that effective immediately, his program is to be shut down, and she will have a cleanup team arrive in the morning, confiscate all of the unlicensed assets. Assets referring to Red Hood and all of the corpses that they have been bringing back to life. But before that can happen, they have one more mission. Two-Face sends them out on one more task. And that is because they were able to isolate the unique chemicals that are inside of Lazarus resin. And Man-Bat, he has a unique ability of being able to pick these chemical smells up from very far distances. So they have him flying above Gotham City, scanning for any location of where this stuff might be. And with him getting a location, they swoop in. We see Task Force Z move in on this location, and they are met by a doctor and a bunch of undead guards. And as they walk in, Red Hood, he's a little unsure of what's going on here, thinking maybe that we don't belong here, but by looking at the guards, they are definitely in the right place. And as they begin to look around, this laboratory looks a lot like their own. Except it is a lot nicer, it seems to be a lot better. And the good doctor that is standing in front of them, he really has no clue why they are here, but he does get excited when they see Bloom, saying that they returned Blue to them, and they are so happy the doctors are going to be ecstatic that he has been returned, because apparently Bloom had escaped this facility only to be caught and put into a facility exactly like this. But Bloom punches this guy in the face, and this is where the hostilities are kicked off, with Red Hood telling his team to have some kind of restraint because they don't know what they are getting into. We see Arkham Knight take one of the undead guards and just rip them in half. And with our Task Force Z cleaning up all of the guards relatively quickly, Red Hood is trying to figure out what is going on with Bloom, trying to figure out why the doctor said he had been here before. And Bloom, he is obviously trying to escape this conversation, trying to say that he was simply a mad scientist, and they say all kinds of crazy things all the time. But this is where we see another doctor walk in and shoot Arkham Knight dead in the chest. But this doctor, it is one they recognize. It is the same doctor that they work with day in and day out. The only issue is, her name is Celia. More than likely, she is the actual version of this doctor, and Amelia Delia, they are both clones. But she lets them know that all of you are currently trespassing, and now you're also guilty of murder, with Red Hood letting her know that they are federally authorized agents operating under the Federal Task Force Act. And of course, she has a little confusion behind this because she is a licensed facility operating under federal jurisdiction for extra normal materials, permit numbers, so on and so forth. And as she looks around, she recognizes these guys as all the individuals that have been stealing their Lazarus resin from all over the place, with Red Hood saying that they have been stealing the Lazarus resin from them. And so at this point, nobody knows what the freak is going on. And so with them getting in contact with Amanda Waller, she is finding out that Harvey Dent had sent his team in, and she tells her other team that it is time to clean them up, that nobody is allowed to get out of here alive. And so now we are about to see Task Force Z versus Task Force Z. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Man, this comic, this series so far, it has been so freaking convoluted. It has been literally all over the place, but it does make more sense now why Red Hood is there. He is there undercover for Batman. But what is going on is that the government, it really is just letting people operate in all kinds of different manners. We see Amanda Waller operating, we see Two-Face operating. Now obviously this is taking place before she heads off to Earth 3, which we saw in the Suicide Squad line. But we can only imagine with Amanda Waller about to head off to Earth 3, with her about to be wanted by everybody, we can only assume that Two-Face is going to be the one to take over all of these operations here in the near future. And it really is quite interesting to see Two-Face trying to go down the straight and narrow, trying to fix his life, recognizing that no one will really hire him, so he has to work in these really, no-name operations. But let me know what you guys think about that change. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.